There are moments in history when a single machine becomes more than metal, fuel, and rivets. It becomes a symbol of an entire nation's determination. In the darkest years of World War II, when cities burned, empires clashed, and millions feared that freedom itself might not survive, something new began to appear in the skies over Europe. At first, German pilots only saw a distant glint of sunlight on polished metal. Then they heard the deep, confident growl of a supercharged engine, and soon they realized that the balance of power above the clouds had shifted forever. That machine was American. It was fast. It was deadly, and its name would echo across history: the P-51 Mustang. To understand why the Mustang mattered, we must go back to a time when the air war seemed unwinnable. Early in the conflict, American bombers were sent deep into enemy territory under the doctrine of daylight, high-altitude precision bombing. The idea was bold and uniquely American. Fly in during the day, strike military and industrial targets precisely, and cripple the enemy's war machine without destroying everything around it. But there was one terrible problem. The bombers could fly far. The fighters could not. B-17 and B-24s were forced to travel hundreds of miles without long-range escort protection, and in those deadly stretches they were torn apart by experienced Luftwaffe pilots. Formation after formation was chewed up by Me-109s and FW-190s, diving through bombers with blazing cannons. The losses were unsustainable. Something had to change. What the United States needed wasn't simply a better fighter. It needed a breakthrough, a machine that could cross oceans of sky, fight vicious battles, and still return home. A machine with speed, altitude performance, stability, range, and firepower, all at once. Engineers on both sides of the Atlantic knew such an aircraft would be extremely difficult to build. But America had something the Axis did not: immense industrial capacity, a culture of experimentation, and the will to try the impossible. The early versions of the Mustang were good, but not yet legendary. That transformation happened when the airframe was combined with the Packard-built version of the Rolls-Royce Merlin engine. Suddenly, the aircraft came alive. The roar deepened. Climb rates skyrocketed. High-altitude performance went from adequate to astonishing. The Mustang could now fight above 25,000 feet, where thin air suffocated many other fighters. And it didn't just survive there, it dominated. Pilots felt it the first time they pushed the throttle forward. The aircraft didn't just respond, it leaped. But the Mustang's magic was not only inside the engine. Its laminar flow wing design represented one of the most advanced aerodynamic concepts of the war. Traditional wings created extra drag as air separated and swirled across their surfaces. The Mustang's wing was sculpted to keep airflow smooth for as long as possible. That meant greater efficiency, longer range, and higher speed without simply adding more power. Its fuselage was sleek and smoothed, with careful attention paid to every panel line, curve, and intake. This wasn't just a weapon built to function, it was a weapon built to slice through the sky with grace and precision. Then came the innovation that changed the entire strategic picture: external drop tanks. With these tanks under its wings, the Mustang suddenly had extraordinary endurance. It could escort bombers from England deep into the heart of Germany, through flak-filled skies and waves of defenders, and still turn, fight, and return. It was the first true long-range escort fighter of the war. American bomber crews, once feeling exposed and alone, now looked out their windows and saw Mustangs flying alongside them like guardians. For the Luftwaffe, everything became more dangerous. The days when German fighters could attack bombers with near impunity were over. Now the hunters were being hunted. Countless captured German pilots later admitted their shock. They had studied American aircraft intelligence reports. They thought they understood the limits of Allied technology. But then they saw P-51s appear far deeper over Germany than any Allied fighter was supposed to reach. They watched them dogfight with ferocity and then still have enough fuel to pursue, to chase, and to escort bombers home. Some believed America had discovered a secret fuel formula or hidden engine breakthrough. In reality, the secret was American engineering discipline combined with a production system that could build complex machines in staggering numbers. Combat reports from the time are filled with vivid stories. Mustang pilots diving from the sun, their silhouettes framed by glowing clouds. Engines howling as they plunged into dogfights with Me-10-9s. Tracer rounds streaking across the sky. Radio chatter filled with adrenaline and calm professionalism. There were missions where lone Mustangs chased enemy aircraft all the way back to their airfields, attacking them even as they attempted to land. There were escorts so tight that bomber crews said they felt wrapped in steel. And there were days when German pilots refused to take off, knowing the sky belonged to the P-51. The Mustang was not only a fighter, it became a strategic weapon. It bled the Luftwaffe dry. German pilot training programs could no longer keep up with losses. Fuel depots were bombed, airfields were attacked, supply trains were shredded from above. The Mustang was everywhere, over cities, over forests, over rail lines, and above the vast gray skies of northern Europe. The message was unmistakable. American air power was now unstoppable. Yet behind all the machinery were the pilots. Young men often barely out of high school, trained intensively, climbing into a sleek aluminum machine and trusting it with their lives. They named their Mustangs after sweethearts, wives, mothers, hometowns. They painted noses with symbols and teeth. They strapped in, closed the canopy, and listened as the Merlin came to life in front of them. Every mission meant danger. Many never returned. But their courage, combined with the Mustang's capabilities, pushed back the darkness. As the war progressed, the results became impossible to ignore. Germany's ability to wage air warfare collapsed. Its factories and fuel refineries were destroyed. The strategic bombing campaign, once almost suicidal, became crushingly effective under Mustang escort. The United States proved that daylight precision bombing could work, and that long-range escort fighters were the key that made it possible. Out of that reality, a new institution would eventually be born, the United States Air Force as an independent branch. When the guns finally fell silent in 1945, the world looked at the P-51 Mustang with awe. It had become one of the most successful and beloved fighters in aviation history. It represented a turning point, a clear demonstration that technology, courage, and industrial power could decide the fate of continents. Aviation would never be the same afterward. Jets were coming. New designs were on the horizon. But the Mustang remained a legend, a benchmark of beauty and lethality combined. Even today, when restored Mustangs take to the air at air shows, people stop what they are doing and look up. The sound of the Merlin engine rolling across the air still sends chills down the spine. The shape of the aircraft still feels timeless. And above the clouds, in the imagination of those who remember history, the Mustang continues to fly through Europe's wartime skies, sunlight flashing across polished metal, engine roaring with unmistakable American pride. It is more than aluminum and rivets. It is the sound of a nation saying, "We will not back down. We will go farther. We will fight, and we will win."